Liberal talk show host tries to humiliate. Clint Eastwood, his epic Clapback goes viral. The sun was setting over the bustling city of Los Angeles, casting a golden glow on the towering skyscrapers and the winding streets below. In a high-rise office building, the studios of the Liberal Pulse were abuzz with activity. The show, hosted by the charismatic and often controversial figure Alex Marlowe, had been on air for years, becoming a staple in progressive circles. Alex's sharp wit and relentless questioning made him a formidable force, often pushing the boundaries of political discourse. Alex Marlowe was no ordinary talk show host. He was a beacon of liberal thought, unafraid to challenge the status quo and provoke his guests into uncomfortable truths. With his slicked-back hair, piercing blue eyes, and a voice that could command an audience, Alex had become a household name among those who believed in social justice, environmental protection, and progressive policies. He was known for his incisive interviews, where he would often leave his guests floundering under the weight of his relentless questioning. On this particular evening, Alex had secured a highly anticipated guest, Clint Eastwood, the legendary actor and director. Known for his stoic demeanor and iconic roles, Clint had always been a subject of fascination for many. However, Alex saw Clint not just as a cultural icon, but also as a potential target for his brand of political commentary. Alex's agenda was clear. He intended to use Clint's platform to make a statement about the conservative leanings of Hollywood celebrities. Despite Clint's history of making politically neutral films, Alex believed that Clint's past associations with Republican figures and his occasional public statements aligned with conservative ideologies. This was the perfect opportunity to expose what Alex perceived as a hypocritical facade. As the studio filled with the sound of clinking glasses and murmuring voices, Alex sat at his desk, a confident smirk playing on his lips. He knew this interview could be his crowning moment, one that would cement his reputation as a fearless interrogator of the powerful. The cameras rolled, and the countdown began. The lights dimmed, and the anticipation in the room grew palpable. Alex Marlowe leaned back in his chair, his eyes fixed on the monitor displaying Clint Eastwood walking towards the set. The camera panned to capture Clint's entrance, capturing the subtle tension in the air. As Clint took his seat opposite Alex, the host couldn't help but feel a rush of adrenaline. "Welcome, Mr. Eastwood," Alex began, his tone smooth and inviting, yet tinged with a hint of challenge. "It's a great honor to have you here tonight." Clint nodded slightly, his expression unreadable. "Thank you for having me, Alex." Alex's smile widened, his confidence unwavering. "Let's dive right in. You've been a part of Hollywood for decades, and during that time you've worked with some interesting characters. Now, some might say that your association with certain political figures, let's say a former president, suggests a more conservative stance. What do you have to say about that?" The question hung in the air like a challenge. Alex leaned forward, his eyes narrowing slightly as he awaited Clint's response. Clint's face remained composed, betraying no sign of irritation or discomfort. "I've always tried to keep my personal beliefs separate from my professional life," he replied calmly. "My work has been about telling stories, not endorsing political ideologies." Alex raised an eyebrow, clearly not satisfied with the answer. "But isn't it true that your actions sometimes speak louder than words? For instance, your support for a certain political campaign several years ago, doesn't that align with a broader conservative agenda?" Clint's gaze did not waver. "Supporting a campaign doesn't mean I subscribe to every aspect of its ideology. It was a matter of supporting someone I believed in at the time," Alex pressed further, his tone growing sharper. "But don't you think it's important to align yourself with causes that reflect your values, especially when you're a public figure with such a large influence?" The question was loaded, designed to corner Clint and reveal any potential hypocrisy. Alex watched closely, hoping to catch a glimpse of uncertainty or contradiction. Clint's response was measured and deliberate. Public figures should indeed be mindful of their influence, but they also have the right to form their own opinions and express them without fear of retribution. My support for that campaign was based on personal judgment, not a blanket endorsement of all their policies. Alex leaned back, his expression thoughtful. Fair enough. Let's move on to another topic. Your recent film projects have received mixed reviews, with some critics suggesting that they lack the depth and relevance of your earlier works. Do you agree with that assessment? Clint's eyes flashed briefly, a flicker of something akin to frustration crossing his features. Art is subjective, Alex. While some may find my newer films less impactful, others appreciate them for what they are. Stories, told through different lenses. I stand by my work, and I believe each film has its own merit. Alex nodded, seemingly conceding the point, but already preparing his next volley. Of course, but given the current state of the world, with issues like climate change, social inequality, and global conflicts demanding urgent attention, don't you think filmmakers have a responsibility to address these topics more directly? The question was a direct challenge, aimed at exposing Clint's supposed indifference to pressing societal issues. Alex's eyes gleamed with satisfaction as he waited for Clint's reaction. Clint's response came swiftly, his voice steady. Filmmakers can certainly choose to tackle contemporary issues, but that doesn't mean every film must do so. Artistic freedom allows creators to explore a wide range of themes, and my films have always reflected my own vision and interests. I don't believe in prescribing what filmmakers should or shouldn't focus on. Alex leaned forward, his tone taking on a more confrontational edge. But isn't it also true that artists have a moral obligation to use their platform to raise awareness and inspire change? Especially in times of crisis, Clint's composure remained intact, but there was a steely resolve in his gaze. Artists do have a role to play in society, but that role is multifaceted. Inspiring change doesn't always come from overtly political messages. Alex's aggressive line of questioning continued, each question aimed at pushing Clint into a corner. The host was relentless, his tone bordering on condescending. So, Mr. Eastwood, would you say that your recent films lack the urgency and relevance of today's pressing issues? Are you content to merely entertain rather than provoke meaningful change? Clint's patience seemed to be wearing thin, but his outward demeanor remained calm. Entertainment can provoke change too, Alex. It can open minds, spark conversations, and even inspire action. My films may not be explicitly political, but they often touch on universal human experiences and emotions that resonate with audiences across the board. Alex's brow furrowed, clearly dissatisfied with the answer. Universal experiences are important, but we live in a time where specific issues demand immediate attention. Climate change, social injustice, and political corruption are crises that cannot be ignored. Shouldn't artists take a stand and use their influence to address these issues head-on? Clint's voice softened slightly, but his resolve did not waver. Artists do have a responsibility to society, but that responsibility is personal and individual. Each artist chooses their own path. I choose to tell stories that I believe in, stories that I hope will touch people on a deeper level. I don't believe in being prescriptive about what artists should create. Alex's eyes narrowed, sensing an opportunity to land a final blow. But isn't it true that by avoiding politically charged narratives, you're essentially choosing to remain silent on crucial issues? Silence can be interpreted as complicity. Clint's expression shifted, a faint glimmer of irritation flickering across his face. Silence is not the same as complicity. If anything, I believe in the power of silence to provoke thought. My films often leave space for the audience to draw their own conclusions, to engage in their own introspection. Isn't that a valid form of engagement? Alex leaned back, a triumphant smile spreading across his face. Perhaps, but let's bring this back to your career. You've been in Hollywood for decades, and yet, despite your influence, you've never used your platform to advocate for significant social change. Isn't that disappointing? Clint's eyes met Alex's, the steel in his gaze unmistakable. Advocacy takes many forms, Alex. My advocacy lies in the stories I tell and the characters I portray. I've always believed that art can inspire change in ways that direct advocacy cannot. I stand by my choices and the impact I believe my work has had. The tension in the room was palpable, the air thick with unspoken words. Alex Marlowe, feeling he had cornered his guest, leaned forward, his voice dripping with condescension. Well, Mr. Eastwood, it seems you're content to remain in your ivory tower, disconnected from the real struggles of the world. It's easy to ignore the pressing issues when you're living a charmed life. The words hung in the air, a gauntlet thrown down before Clint. But instead of recoiling, Clint Eastwood's eyes blazed with a quiet intensity. The room fell silent, every eye fixed on the two men locked in a verbal battle. Clint took a deep breath, his voice calm but firm. Alex, I understand your desire to see immediate and direct action, but change is not always linear. Sometimes it comes from unexpected places, from stories that touch hearts and minds, from characters that resonate. With audiences long after the credits roll, Alex scoffed, a dismissive laugh escaping his lips. Stories and characters are fine, but they don't feed hungry children or clean polluted rivers. They don't dismantle systemic oppression or fight climate change. Real change requires concrete action, not just storytelling. Clint's voice remained steady, undeterred by Alex's sarcasm. Concrete action starts with understanding, with empathy, and with the willingness to listen. Stories have the power to bridge gaps, to foster empathy, and to inspire people to act. My work has always aimed to provoke thought, to challenge perceptions, and to encourage dialogue. That is my form of activism. Alex's eyes narrowed, his tone sharpening. But what about now, Mr. Eastwood? What about the crises we face today? Don't you feel a responsibility to address them directly, rather than indirectly through your films? Clint's response was both measured and powerful. Responsibility is a complex concept, Alex. It means different things to different people. To me, it means using my talents to create meaningful work that can have a lasting impact. It means being true to my vision and the stories I want to tell. I refuse to be pigeonholed into a single narrative or a prescribed path of activism. Alex leaned forward, his voice rising. But isn't that precisely the problem? You're so focused on your vision that you neglect the broader picture. The world needs leaders who aren't afraid to step up and take action, not just tell pretty stories. Clint's eyes flashed with a fierce determination. Leadership takes many forms, Alex. Some lead by example, others by inspiration. I choose to lead through my art, to create a space where people can connect, empathize, and ultimately act. My work may not fit your definition of activism, but it is nonetheless a vital part of the conversation. Alex's face flushed with anger, his voice shaking with frustration. Your work may be vital, but it's also conveniently detached. It allows you to maintain your comfortable position while the rest of us struggle. You can't hide behind art when real lives are at stake. Clint's voice remained calm, his eyes steady. I'm not hiding behind anything, Alex. I'm standing behind my convictions and my belief in the power of art to effect change. Detachment is not the same as apathy. My work is rooted in a deep sense of responsibility, a responsibility to tell stories that matter, that can touch people in profound ways. Alex's eyes blazed with fury, his voice reaching a crescendo. But what about the urgency of the moment? What about the millions of people suffering right now? Can your art really make a difference in their lives? Clint's response was a quiet, powerful clapback. Art can make a difference in ways you may not fully understand. It can open minds, break barriers, and inspire action. My art has always sought to do just that, to create a ripple effect that can reach far beyond the confines of a movie theater. Detractors like you may not see it, but that doesn't diminish its impact. The studio erupted into a cacophony of applause and gasps as Clint's words hung in the air, a stark reminder of the power of art and conviction. The camera captured the stunned expressions of the audience and crew, the gravity of the moment palpable. Alex, momentarily speechless, stared at Clint with a mixture of shock and disbelief. The tables had turned, and the once dominant host found himself on the defensive. The interview, which was meant to be a showcase of Alex's prowess, had become a testament to Clint's resilience and integrity. As the show went to commercial break, the tension in the room was almost tangible. The crew whispered amongst themselves, buzzing with the aftermath of the intense exchange. The producers exchanged worried glances, unsure of how to proceed. The interview had taken an unexpected turn, one that neither Alex nor the production team had anticipated. When the show returned from the break, Alex attempted to regain control. His tone was softer, more conciliatory, but the damage had been done. The audience could sense the shift in dynamics, the palpable energy of the room, shifting from confrontation to reflection. Clint, however, maintained his composure. "Alex, I respect your passion and your commitment to social justice. We may disagree on the methods, but I believe in the power of diverse approaches. Change is a multifaceted process, and each of us plays a role in it." Alex nodded slowly, his initial aggression giving way to a grudging respect. "Thank you, Clint. Perhaps there is more common ground than we initially thought." The rest of the interview proceeded with a newfound mutual respect, though the underlying tension lingered. As the show drew to a close, Alex thanked Clint for his time and insights. The audience, still reeling from the intensity of the exchange, gave a standing ovation. The next morning, the clip of Clint's epic clapback spread like wildfire across social media platforms. Clint Eastwood interview trended globally, with users sharing the video and praising Clint's articulate defense. The clip showed not just a powerful rebuttal, but a profound statement on the nature of activism and the role of art in society. Celebrities and influencers chimed in, sharing their thoughts and supporting Clint's perspective. Clint Eastwood's response is a reminder that change can come in many forms, tweeted a prominent actor. Art has the power to inspire and provoke thought. News outlets picked up the story, analyzing the significance of the exchange. Commentators praised Clint for his eloquence and his steadfast commitment to his artistic vision. "This interview is a testament to the enduring power of storytelling," wrote a respected journalist. "Clint Eastwood's words remind us that art can be a potent force for change." Meanwhile, Alex Marlowe faced criticism for his aggressive approach. Some viewers accused him of being disrespectful and overly confrontational. "Alex went too far," commented a viewer on social media. "He should have listened more and attacked less." Despite the backlash, Alex defended his approach. "I stand by my questions. It's important to push our guests to articulate their views clearly, but I respect Clint's response and his dedication to his craft." The interview became a pivotal moment in the discourse around art, activism, and social responsibility. It sparked numerous discussions on social media and in forums, with people debating the merits of Clint's approach versus more direct forms of activism. In the weeks following the interview, Clint Eastwood's words continued to resonate. The conversation around art's role in societal change expanded, with many acknowledging the subtle yet profound ways in which stories can shape perceptions and inspire action. Clint received numerous accolades and invitations to speak at events discussing the intersection of art and activism. His response to Alex Marlowe became a rallying cry for those who believed in the transformative power of storytelling. For Alex Marlowe, the experience was a learning curve. He realized that his aggressive style could sometimes overshadow the nuances of a debate. "I learned that there's value in listening and respecting differing viewpoints," he later admitted. Clint's response taught me the importance of recognizing the complexity of issues. The incident also highlighted the broader conversation about the role of public figures in addressing societal issues. It sparked a dialogue about the various forms of activism and the importance of individual choice and expression. The interview between Clint Eastwood and Alex Marlowe became a defining moment in the landscape of political discourse and artistic expression. It underscored the importance of diverse approaches to change and the enduring power of storytelling. As the world continued to grapple with pressing issues, the debate sparked by this encounter served as a reminder that the quest for change is multifaceted, encompassing a spectrum of voices and perspectives.